Welcome back. The first thing we're going to do is cover the song Holy, 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 a very melody driven song. And as Jermaine already went through the harmonization of the scale, I'm going to take you through the melody. So you should already know the chords that actually coexist with the melody. So let's look at that, the melody. So we got Holy, Holy, Holy. Okay?
So JP, wait. I mean, how did you even know to go up with your melody note? I mean, imagine somebody sitting from scratch. So first thing you're saying, determine your key. Okay, we got that. Second thing, okay, melody's coming from the scale. But how did you even know to go up? I mean,
Well, the first thing in playing is listening, and actually, if you know the melody in your head, holy, holy.
it sounds like it's going up.
If we start on the one, holy, holy. If you
It
go
doesn't sound
down,
good.
you're not gonna find it going down. So if you're a beginner and you're not too sure on how to find the melody, if you can hear the melody, then holy, holy. That's the next note, holy, going down.
It
You
ain't
can
working.
hear that you're not going anywhere near the melody, but if you go up, holy, 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 and pretty much a lot of times use your scale because the melody is going to coexist with the scale a lot of times. You might find a lot of people going through every single note, but you don't even have to do that.
Yeah.
You can just focus in on the scale and find it a lot faster. So you can say holy.
So if you like me and you straining,
Yeah.
you going holy, holy, you know that's going up. 'Cause
Yeah,
you
yeah.
don't strain going
don't strain-
down.
yeah, exactly.
You know, it's easy to go down.
And
Oh.
use your scale to figure out if you know you're going up, use your scale. Holy, holy, and pretty much holy. So whenever you hear like
Kumbaya.
that's always the one chord broken up. If you follow chord counting, it's a 1-3-5 chord. This is the one. This is the three. It's pretty much a major chord broken up. So the more and more you practice these things, the more you're gonna be able to hear that.
Yeah, that
But
makes sense.
with using the harmonization scale, pretty much you know that the one, which is D flat, is going to be this chord. It's a D flat major chord. F, A flat, and D flat. You know how to harmonize the F by using the same chord. A flat, D flat, and F. And you know how to harmonize the A flat by using the same chord. So this one chord harmonizes all those notes. Okay? Then the next melody is Lord God Almighty.
And you kind of know that note skips because even if you're singing it, you really gotta go. Like you're going from even in my baritone, my sexy voice, you're going holy, holy, holy. God. Okay, so automatically musicians, you gotta know, it's a 50-50 chance.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them like to go to Vegas. I know we don't. We holy.
Holy.
Holy. but some of y'all like to go to Vegas and y'all go get on them gambling things and your odds is way crazy. Your odds in playing music and knowing whether the melody is going up or down is what? 50-50.
Exactly.
It's either up or down. If it don't work there, try the next one. So melody determination is a cinch. You just got to take your time to listen.
And that's the first thing you do. So with a song such as this, the first thing you want to do is pick out the melody if you have no concept of how to find the chords. Once you find the melody, then using the harmonization technique that Jermaine showed you, put them together and bam, you can figure out every single chord. That's the first step. So like I said, we got holy, 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 holy. And then the next one is... So the next chord we're gonna play is the melody is B flat, and then A flat to F. So we got this chord harmonizes the B flat. We got D flat, G flat, and B flat. Play this 1, 2, 3, and then you go to the A flat, and you know that the D flat major chord with the D flat, F, and A flat then harmonizes this A flat melody. And then the F is harmonized, with the A flat, D flat, and F. So you already have the song.
Now I know they're gonna be saying, okay, so JP, I understand what the right hand's doing. What about the bass? are you using primary bass notes? Because the 1, 4, and 5, are you letting your chords kind of predict what the bass is doing?
Well, at this point, we're starting with the most basic of harmonization, and we're going to get into the bass when we get more into progressions, but you can also just hold this one bass note tone, the 1, okay? But when we get to this melody,
because the chord changes to a G flat.
The chord changes, yeah, so you can go to a G flat melody. So what's happening is that we're starting on the 1, which is D flat. And it's obvious that you're playing a D flat major chord in your right hand. So the D flat bass is going to work with that because it's your 1 chord and your D flat is your 1.
It almost can't work. It's never going to be a time where you play the D flat and it's just not going to work. Maybe
it doesn't
the song
happen.
may be doing something differently, but it can always be right.
It's always right. Your 1 is always going to be your 1, and it always works 99.9% of the time. Now from here, what we're going to do, we're going to go to the 4, okay? And the reason why we're going to the 4 is because when we did this melody, notice that we're playing 1 chord, and it's the 1 chord. We're playing a D flat major chord each time. We're going to D flat major in first inversion, then we're going to D flat major in second inversion, then we're going to the D flat major chord in root position, okay? Now when we go from here, we're changing the chord all together with the melody, and we're going to the 4, which is G flat in the bass. So we're going from the 1 to the 4, back to the 1, okay? So the melody's going, and that's over the 4. And then we're going to the melody, and you already know that the D flat chord harmonizes the A flat as well as the F.
So basically, melody definitely tells them what to do.
It tells you what to do, and as well as the chords too as well. Mm-hmm. So if you're using a melody and you're noticing that you're playing certain chords,
right,
then your bass is going to change to the bass note that goes with that chord pretty much.
So nobody got any excuses out there. You can start with the melody. Mm-hmm. And one other thing, my advanced people that are listening, please do not turn off this tape. By the end of this tape, tell them, JP.
We're going to get into some advanced.
Show them real quick.
Fat chords.
I don't mean to like get off the chords, but just show them just a little preview of what this song could be. Just so people are not saying, oh, y'all just covering 3-finger chords. Just do a little bit of what you was doing. Case in point. So if you cannot do that, myself included, we should listen to this entire DVD. It starts here. Mm-hmm. And we can't promise that all the little licks and riffs because, you know, the importance of this DVD is really just to get the process. But, mm-hmm. you know, this song can really be taken way out there. This ain't just one of those oldie, you know.
And, you know, we got to start from the basics, and you got to get the basic approach. You know, there's a lot of people that, you know, want to just jump into the sweet stuff, but you can't really jump into that without having foundation and understanding those basics and fundamentals, because that's going to help you to even go even further. So that's why we are here right now.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
All righty.
All right, so let's go back to where we were. Okay, so we was at the 1 to the 4, back to the 1. Now the melody once again goes. So we're going from the A flat melody to the B flat melody to the C to the D flat. Notice we're just going right up the D flat major scale from the 5, which is A flat. And you know the chords? The A flat melody is harmonized by this chord, D flat, F, and A flat, to the G flat major chord with the B flat melody, to the A flat major chord with E flat, A flat, C, with that C as the melody, to the 1 chord with the D flat as a melody. So we just going. So we went from 1 to the 4, back to the 1. Then we're going to stay on the 1. And you can do all these chords over the 1 too as well.
Now later you're gonna show them, how to be a little bit more precise. But for now, this can work.
Yeah, and notice that we're doing a G flat major chord, but we're not changing the bass. Every time you go to this chord, you don't necessarily have to change the bass. You can really hear, when it's time to do that. But we're staying here. Now we're gonna go to this chord, to this melody, and we're gonna change to a major chord. And Jermaine kind of went over this in the previous section, where if the melody changes, you can actually go to a 2. And I believe he used this chord, but in this particular case, we're using simple chords. And we go to the E flat as a melody, and we're going to play an E flat major chord.
So basically, normally that would be minor, but you're saying, sometimes, like when we did the harmonization scale, that's really 80% of the time. But you're going to have those 20%.
There's going to be some exceptions, and you're going to hear, because if you go... that chord doesn't sound right.
You need something more punchier.
Yeah, this is minor, and really, this is an E flat minor chord, and E flat is our bass, but we need an E flat major chord.
So you should have like a hierarchy of chords you go to.
Yeah.
So the harmonization is like the top hierarchy. If those don't work, then obviously the minor can be swapped out for major.
Yeah, kind of. You have options. It's either most of the time going to be some type of minor chord or some type of major chord. In this case, using the basic harmonization, this chord would typically be minor,
right.
But it doesn't work. So we're going to do a major chord. It's still some type of E flat chord, but it's not an E flat minor chord. It's an E flat major chord.
Right.
So
in terms of going to your bass, you could go to E flat, but could you also go to A flat right away if you wanted to, or stay on D flat for that matter?
Not, because the chord will clash. It won't work.
So get rid of that one.
And you can't go to the 5. Because it clashes,
Okay.
So you have to go
try your different bass notes.
Yeah, you try your different bass notes, and you'll instantly be able to hear that doesn't work, this bass note doesn't work. Keep going till you try. You have 7 options of bass notes. Really, it's not going to be anything outside your scale most of the time, and especially using basic songs like this. When you get into more complex songs that have a lot of different chord progressions, then you're going to see some notes, stepping outside of the scale. But for the most part, try every note in the scale with the chord and see what works. So let's pick up where we left off with the melody that's coming up next. And we were on a 2, which is E flat, and we played this E flat major chord. So the next melody is E flat, A flat, B flat, okay? Now let's use the basic harmonization technique. That doesn't work, using basic harmonization. Remember, you have options. You can either, with the A flat melody, you can either play this D flat major chord,
which will work most of the time, but not here.
Exactly. But in this particular case, you want to use this chord, C, E flat, A flat. So when we come from, you want to play this chord. And instead of playing this chord for the B flat melody, this E flat chord, every note in this chord can actually be used as a harmonization chord too as well. So this B flat can be harmonized by the same chord too. E flat, G, and B flat. It's just a different inversion. So now we have, okay?
So basically the name of the game is trial and error.
Exactly. The harmonization technique doesn't work 100% of the time. With trial and error, you're going to see that you have options of things that you can do. And basically, once you learn those options, and the more you do it with trial and error, the more advanced you're going to get with the approach on how to use this technique and know the do's and don'ts of that too as well.
Right. So as soon as you harmonize, start with the basic ones, and as soon as your ear says, nah, I think there could be something better. Because sometimes the harmonization chord will work, but it won't be the best option, or it'll clash a little bit.
It'll sound close.
A little bit off.
But, you can hear that it's not right.
Right.
And once, you don't want to say, okay, this can work, so I'll just do that. No, try to find the different options, that work.
And usually it could be the actual major chord, like A flat. We don't really harmonize with an A flat major chord. We harmonize it with a D flat chord. So your next option could actually be to try the major chord of the melody, regardless of if that's the standard chord, right?
Exactly.
That could be the first thing to try. And then, you can keep going and trying other chords that might have that note. But they're always going to be basic chords, right? Even when
Exactly.
you transition.
Okay, this is a quick hint for options that you have, basically. So you can always use the 1, which is a D flat major chord. You can use all the notes in there. So you can use D flat as a melody with this chord. You can use F as a melody with this chord. You can use A flat as a melody with this chord too as well. Now, we're talking about the 1, 2, the 4, and the 5. Okay, these are the key chords. Now, off the 2, you can either use an E flat minor chord or E flat major chord. Okay, in any inversion. So you can harmonize the E flat with this chord. You can harmonize the G flat with this chord, and you can harmonize the B flat with this chord too as well. Also, you can use the E flat major chord and use the E flat major chord to harmonize the E flat and the B flat. Really, most of the time, the G is not in this key. So technically, this inversion won't work because a lot of times because this G is not even a melody that's in this key. So you can use the E flat major to harmonize the E flat as well as the B flat. Now, the fourth chord in this key will be G flat. You can use the G flat chord to harmonize the G flat. You can use the G flat chord to harmonize the B flat.
We say know that, but this is the extra kicker.
Yeah.
Like, yes, Jesus loves me.
Yeah, and then you can use the G flat chord to harmonize the D flat too as well. So the D flat chord could be harmonized by 2 different chords. It could be harmonized by the G flat chord, and it can be harmonized by the D flat major chord. So when you get into situations where you say, this D flat chord doesn't sound right, the flip side, it could be this chord, this G flat major chord. Like, there are your options. And then the last chord I want to teach you that's key is this A flat major chord. You can harmonize the A flat with this C, E flat, A flat, the A flat major chord. And this A flat melody can also be harmonized with the D flat chord too as well. So, basically the 1, 2, 4, and 5 are your key chords because they're going to be the options that you use to harmonize the melody. So if one is not right, then the
Mix
other.
and match.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha. You guys got that? So just mix and match. You got your standard, but if the standard doesn't work, you're not really learning new chords. You're just putting them in different places than they're normal or their most, highest probability of occurring.
All right, so we left off with. Now we're going to go to the melody, which is A flat. So remember, we just left off with going to this melody, E flat, and how we can substitute this chord for this. And then we went to the A flat melody, then to the B flat melody. And that's going to
E flat chord. You just extended it up.
Exactly. And now this is going to take us to the A flat melody, and we're going to play an A flat major chord with the A flat in the bass. Okay?
Yep. So JP, at this point, I think we should talk about the magic word called cadence, because they've learned patterns and progressions, but some people might not know what a cadence is. And a cadence is just sort of like a progression that ends a song, a section, a phrase. Doesn't this sound like a middle of the song? Like, if you just listen to this song, doesn't this part sound important? Like, if you had to rate the song, I would say that this is probably one of the most important parts of the songs. Would you?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like holding. This is what we call a half cadence. It's not complete. You feel like, oh man, this song's not over, but it's about to come back to the beginning, but it leaves you kind of hanging, like surprise. And there's different kinds of cadences. The perfect cadence or the authentic cadence is when the 5 is coming to the 1. Can you explain, like, just a regular 5 coming to the 1? That would be like A flat going to D flat.
A perfect cadence would be going, like you said, from the 5 to the 1, and basically going to the 1 using the 1 melody. So you have a 1 chord, but anytime you use your 1 melody as your last chord, that makes it perfect. Okay, now if you go from this 5 chord to the same 1 chord, but don't go to the 1 melody. Now the F is the melody.
It's perfect now. It's not perfect.
It's imperfect. Yeah, those fit within the authentic cadences. You have your perfect and you have your imperfect. Just remember, when it's perfect, your melody, which is the 1, is going to be on top.
And that's the strongest you can get.
That's
like
the strongest.
Like if the choir director's like, that's the one you want. You want them sopranos, on the 1, because that's going to give you that real ending, like that dun 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 dun.
It's the
dun,
1.
Dun, dun.
Yep.
And anything else, like you could put that other chord, like you said, you could put F on top, you could put A flat on top. It's still going to be authentic. It's still going to be the 5 going to 1, but it's not going to be the strongest.
It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be imperfect.
Now, but what you did at that part wasn't an authentic cadence. It was a half cadence, because when you did Blessed Trinity, you left us hanging at that A flat.
Mm-hmm.
And many songs have that. Many songs have that. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saves the wretch like. There it goes.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually going to be where instead of the 5 coming to the 1, it's like the 5 is going to be the hangout. It's going to stay there. It's going to suspense us. The 2 can go there. The 3, anything can go there. But the important thing for them to know is that the 5 hangs out. Where else does that happen in music?
It happens a lot of times. Anytime you want to get back to the 1, most of the time you're going to use the 5 to get back to the 1. And it happens in a lot of songs, but the only difference is that the 5 chord is substituted a lot for a lot of different chords too as well.
Mm-hmm. So it's not like this progression isn't eventually going to come back to the 1, but it's not going to do it like the authentic cadence does. Like the authentic is really going to end your songs a lot. I mean, that's going to be the ultimate ending. All my songwriters out there, you want to end your song where people know it's ending. That's the highest, most strongest progression. But half cadences, they confuse people because they almost thought the song was going to end, but it kind of kept going. But, usually it's going to end a phrase and take you back to the beginning of the song. And that's what's happening here. Mm-hmm. And a half cadence is coming when your lyrics repeat, or the melody repeats the same way. And that's what's happening here. Aren't we about to go back to the beginning?
Yep. And we're going to use this chord, which is the 5 chord, to get back to the 1. And back to the 4.
So we're back to the beginning.
Exactly. Now we're going to go. Okay. And those are the next melody. Okay. And we have this chord to harmonize the D flat. And this same D flat major chord to harmonize the A flat. Now the B flat is a melody, and we have this chord to harmonize the B flat. And then the F is the melody, and we have this chord to harmonize the F. And A flat, D flat, F is the chord. Okay? And from here,
standard chords, the new stuff at least.
Basically, yeah, and the harmonization technique can be used to harmonize a lot of different chords, a lot of different melodies. Using this technique will open up your doors to, playing the piano. If you've never played the piano before and you have melodies that you hear in your head, you can use this technique and harmonize those melodies instantly.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, shall we end this song with the basic way so that you can move on to the transitions, the big stuff?
I'm going to play this one more time all the way through using this harmonization technique. Then from here, we're going to get out of here to the next section where we're going to step it up and get into some more advanced things that you can do with chords and progressions too as well. All right,
you will be blown away.
Nah. All right, so let's start with the basics. Then we're going to the 4. actually go like this. Okay?
So that's the basics. I
Uh-huh.
mean, we don't want people to think they have to play it that way because when
Definitely.
you were playing, I was like, I know he wants to switch his bass notes. I mean,
Yeah.
you get used to hearing how, it's supposed to sound not basic, but this way is very important in being able to figure out the melody, let the melody lead you to the right primary chord bass note, which is the 1, 4, 5, occasionally the 2, but we only use 4 bass notes in this whole entire song. But then that's going to lead you to the fatter chords and progressions and all the stuff we learned in chord counting.
Yeah.
You'll be able to interject that stuff as you will see in the next segment.
Yeah, these are the basics and fundamentals. They're going to be your foundation. And don't worry, advanced people. We're going to get into some advanced techniques, but, for those of you who are beginners that are totally new to the piano, this is going to be your foundation and get you ready to excel and get into advanced chords and progressions, all right? Now, this is it for this section. We'll see you in the next one. Buckle up. All right, welcome back. Now we're going to get into some chords and progressions. You got the basics, you got basic harmonization. Now we're going to take what we learned in chord counting and apply it to a song. Bigger chords, learning how to use those sevenths, those ninths, and everything, those minor 11s, basically to use them in chord progressions. And basically, songs are patterns with chords and progressions that are used and recycled over and over. And in GMTC, you're going to see that a lot, that all you got to do is get that basic understanding of patterns. Do you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree. And what you're about to see here before your eyes is actually almost identical to the process taught in GMTC. So you want to definitely log into the Gospel Music Training Center. Don't stay here. The real ongoing songs and the fast stuff, so to speak, and really applying everything in musician transformation, it really comes in the Gospel Music Training Center. This DVD won't last you forever. You'll want to get into hotter chords, more modern songs, and GMTC will really give that to you. So if you like this approach and you like what's going on, then you'll love being a continued member.
All right, so let's get right into it. This song starts on the 1, okay? And it goes to the 6, to the 2, to the 5, to the 1.
Wait a minute, JP. I mean, in your first version, you kept D flat constant, but now all of a sudden you've gone from D flat to B flat, B flat to E flat, E flat to A. I mean, that's a 1, 6, 2, 5, 1 if you look at the numbers. What changes so drastically between just doing melody now and now doing chords, progressions?
Well, basically, now what we're doing, songs follow patterns. And the difference between harmonization and this technique is that when you learn songs, the first thing you want to do is find out what the bass is doing, because that's going to choreograph where we're going to go with the chords and the progressions. So once you know your bass notes, like I said, we're going from the 1 to the 6, to the 2, to the 5, to the 1. Taking what we learned in chord counting and so forth, the 1 is usually major, the 6 is usually minor, the 2 is usually minor, the 5 is usually major or some type of other chord that will take you to the 1, and then the 1 chord is usually major. So with those techniques, the 1 is major. And you can still use the harmonization technique too as well with this as well. Now we're going to the 6.
Which is a minor chord when you play the D flat over B flat.
Yeah, when you play the D flat over B flat, this turns this chord into a B flat minor 7. Like here, this is a regular B flat minor chord, and then the minor 7th will be A flat. Basically, all we're doing is playing the B flat and the bass.
So we haven't even left our melody yet.
We haven't left our melody yet, but basically, this is the basic technique for this B flat minor 7, or any minor 7 chord. You start with the 1, 3, 5. Basically, everything that we showed you in chord counting and everything. So that's where we get this minor 7th chord from. So we're going from the 1, 2, and you can also walk down to the 6. From the 1 to the 6. And you can go from the 1 to the 7 to the 6. Now we're going to go to the 2. After 2, we're going to play a more dominant sounding chord. We have G, we have C, we have D flat, we have F. So basically, this is our 3rd, this is our 13, this is our seventh, our dominant seventh, and this is our 9.
It's like a 9 chord with a 13 in it, or a 6.
Basically.
13 and 6. We talked about that in Cord County.
Yeah, so this is one of the chords that will take you to the 5. Okay, so whenever you're going from a 2 to a 5, you can use this chord. And when you're going, basically we're getting ready to do a 2, 5, 1 chord progression.
If you back up even more, you got 6, 2, 5, 1.
Yeah.
So it's basically straight out of Pattern Paradise.
Mm-hmm.
Circular movement. This is circle of fifths. If you look on the circle of fifths, B flat is next to E flat, E flat's next to A flat.
Actually, circle of fourths.
Circle of fourths.
Yeah, it's the
going
opposite.
way.
Yeah, we're going from the B flat to the E flat to the A flat to the D flat. Circle of fourths. So now we're going to the 5, and what we have is G flat, B flat, D flat, F over the 5, which is A flat. Okay. Now this particular chord is used to take you back to the 1. How you can figure this chord out in any key is really identifying what the 5 is. Okay. The 5 is A flat. In any particular key, identify that 5 and count down the whole step from that 5, which would be G flat, or the 4, whatever your 4 is. Play the 4 major 7th over the 5.
Which you covered that in Cord County, right?
Exactly. And that's going to take us back to the 1. But now, when we go to the 1, we're going to use the 1 as a passing chord to get to the 4.
And that gives it like a different kind of 1 sound. It's not the major, but it's like a dominant.
Yeah, it's not the major chord sound. We're playing an A flat minor chord over the 1. We have B, E flat, and A flat. So basically, all you do is drop the E flat down to F. So we got, now we're going to the A flat minor chord over D flat. And we're dropping that E flat down to F. So we got B, E flat, A flat, drop that E flat down to F. And that takes us to the 4.
Ooh, that's a nice chord.
Yeah, now this 4 chord, it could be, you know that the 1, the 4, and the 5 is major. Anytime you know the basics and fundamentals, like your 1 is major or your 4 is major, you can enhance that by adding a 7th, by adding a 9th, and it just adds more flavor. And basically, it's up to you. But all I did was
the melody on top.
The melody is still on top as well. So all I did was add the 9th, the 1. Basically, the only things I added was this is the 3 and this is the 5, and this is the 3 too as well. So all I did was change the voicing, and I added the 9th right here, and then I added the major 7th. So this is a voicing that you can use. It's basically the 9, the 3, the 5, the 7, and the 3 again.
And let's back up. Let's back up and tell them, why does that work? You went from A flat to D flat to G flat. So you did another circle of fifths, circle of fourths, whatever you want to call it. But you basically did like a 2, 5, 1 in the key of G flat. And that's why that 1 took on a dominant feel, because if we were in the key of G flat, the 1 would be the 5 in that key. And what is the 5 usually? Dominant. So it's like you kind of tonicized the 1 on this 4. You made it home temporarily.
Yeah. So, and the melody is still on top. So you can change the voicings around, but pretty much this is a G flat major 9 chord. We have everything that creates that. We have the 1, we have the 1 is in the bass, we have the 3, we have the 5, and we have the 7, the major 7, and we have the 9. And this is a voicing of that chord. Now we're going to the 2. Now, off the 2, you can play a E flat minor 7, or you can play a E flat minor 9. But the E flat minor 7 sounds better for melody purposes. We got B flat, D flat, G flat, and B flat. And because, you know, like all the other videos, that the 2 is going to be minor, right? And that's where we get this minor 7. You can play just a regular E flat minor chord, and it sounds like that. But once you add that minor 7, it just sounds a whole lot better. So it's just a matter of knowing your options and trial and error. Now we're going to the 5. Now there's a lot of things you could do. that obviously is a stretch, but what I'm going to do is play an A flat chord with the added 9. So we got A flat in the bass, we got C, E flat, and B flat, okay? Your B flat is your added 9. Now we're going to the 1 again.
With a nice chordal chord.
With a nice quarter chord. And these are chords that if you have our Gospel Keys 202, a lot of these chords and progressions are taught there too as well. But this is a quarter chord. We have F, B flat, E flat, and A flat. And since you're the expert on these particular chords, why don't you explain why this chord works, man?
Well, I like that chord because, I mean, pretty much it's an interval of 4. So if you take this F, what's the 4th up from F? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's B flat. What's the 4th up from B flat if you were actually in that scale? And what's the 4th up from E flat? So it's like, you know, you got this big old open chord of 4s. And when you have that, it really works on a number of different bass notes, but particularly on the 1, it sounds really good. And JB uses it a lot.
Yes, I do. So we got... That's where we just left off. And then you can end with a regular D flat major chord because we're going from the A flat melody to F melody.
So melody is still alive. I want to stress that. You haven't deviated from it at all.
No, just using different chord
Nicer
voices.
chords to get you.
Okay, now this is where something different comes in. This is where you don't necessarily have to be in the scale. Go this way. Now the key with this progression is that we're going to the 6. And the 6th chord, most of the time, is what type of chord?
It's going to be minor.
It's going to be minor. So we're going to the 6 minor, and we can do a 7 to the 3 to the 6, or we can do a flat 5 to the flat 6 to the 6.
Almost like you change to the key of F, like temporarily.
Exactly. So basically, let's start with the 7, 3, 6, and you can play E flat, G flat, and B flat. So here after 7, we have a minor 7 flat 5 chord. You can always use that. Remember, write this down. A minor 7 flat 5. So in this particular case, we have a C minor 7 flat 5. If we look at it like this will be our minor 7 chord, but we have to flat the 5.
And this naturally happens on the 7th tone of the scale when you're using 7 chords like this. So it's not even an altered chord or really anything like something strange. It really happens.
Exactly. So the only difference is that most of the time when you voice chords and play chords, you don't necessarily have the root note in your chord, which is the 7th, which is C. This is the 7th of the D flat major scale. So we put that in the bass. So this is our first chord for our 7, 3, 6. Now we're going to the F, which is the 3. And we have E flat, A flat, E flat, G flat, A, and C, okay? And this is our chord off of the 3.
So you got a 7 flat 9 in there.
Yep.
F7 flat 9.
Exactly. So anytime you go to the 3, think of a 7 flat 9 chord, okay?
And show them the trick with that, because it's really like a diminished chord with the bass note that's like a half step lower than the diminished chord.
Exactly.
Those work like off the 3, they work off the 6, they work a lot as transitional chords.
Okay, yeah. If you guys watch Chorus County, you notice that basically there's 3 different diminished chords that you can play. Now, if you know the F diminished chord, basically you would take that up a half step.
That'll always get you that nice 7 chord with a flat 9 in it, and it's great for transitioning to the next key that you need to go to, like
which is our 6.
Yeah, upper 4th.
So basically we're going a half step from the normal diminished chord that we would play over F. That was taking up a half step and using that chord over that F bass to go to the 6. But in this particular case, we're going to use this inversion of that same chord. So now we're going to the 6. And after 6, what we're playing is F, A flat, C, and D flat. D flat is our melody. But what we're playing a B flat minor 9. Okay, we have. This is our B flat minor 9, and basically it's just the B flat is in the bass first. And this is what we have left. The C is down here, the F is down here, and the A flat is down here. So we got the 7 to the 3 to the 6. Okay?
So those chords you left the same off the basic harmony.
Exactly. So let's pick up where we left off. So basically from the 7, 3, 6, we're gonna stay on that 6. And then the bass is gonna move now. With these chords, you're gonna keep you're gonna use the harmonization technique over the 2 to the 5, and now we're going back to the 1. To the 2, to the 5, to the 1. Now we're going to the 6, to the 3, to the 4, to the 3, to the 6. But before we even get that far, we talked about 2 different ways to get to the 6. And I already showed you one. Now I'm going to show you the flat 5 to the flat 6 to the 6. In this particular case, we're doing a G diminished 7th to an A diminished 7th to the B flat minor chord, or this particular version. So when you do the flat 5, you do that particular diminished 7 chord. Then when you do the flat 6, you do that particular diminished 7 chord. So you do a G diminished 7th, an A diminished 7th. In this particular case, we're doing different versions of the chord. Okay?
You're ending on the same chord as your other route.
Because it's a 7, 3, 6, and we're ending on a 6. We're just using different chords of transposition to get there. Instead of going 7, 3, you can go flat 5, flat 6, 6. Okay?
It's like you're walking up the F major scale. You went from F, G, A, B flat.
Yeah, somewhat that's kind of replacing the D flat major scale, and you're using the F to walk up to the B flat.
Almost like you change keys almost temporarily.
Temporarily.
The music does that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And all that's going to be the same.
Yeah.
Wait, that's different. You're doing a little suspension.
Now we're suspending the
that
chord.
have cadence. You're bringing it out more.
Exactly. And what we have B flat, D flat, and A flat.
And A flat still on top.
Exactly. Okay, and we're basically playing this over the A flat, and we resolve down to A flat major chord. So this suspends the chord, and you drop it to C, E flat, A flat, and this takes us back to the 1. So basically, after the 7 to the 3, we're going to the 6 to the 3 to the 4.
So the chord on the right hand is going to be the same harmony from the first part, but your bass has changed because before you kept it all on D flat.
Yeah. But now we're going to make it interesting. We're going to go to the 6 to the 3. To the 4. And off the 4, you can use the major 7 and keep the melody on top. So you don't have to play the G flat. You you can make this a G flat major 7 chord. Now we're gonna go to the 3, which is F. And off the F, we're gonna play A flat, B, and F. And this is a 3, 6, 2 to the 5 to the 1.
Straight off of Pattern Paradise.
Basically,
3, 6, 2,
the
5,
circle of fours. We're going from F to B flat to E flat to A flat to D flat. And off the F, we have A flat, B, and F. And off the B flat, we have A flat, B, D, and F.
Oh, wait. That one, back up to this one right here. That's that same 7 flat 9. Remember taking a diminished chord that's a half step higher, just like we did when we were on F?
Yeah.
It's the same kind of chord on B flat, just to show you how different the same chords used in different places.
Exactly.
So B flat 7, flat 9.
Mm-hmm.
They're good transitions.
Now we're going to the 2. Now we have B flat, D flat, and G flat. To the 5, basically using the basic harmonization technique.
I find that when a song is ending and the second tone of the scale is the melody, especially when it's ending, your bass is going to always be the 5 because you're getting ready almost for one of those cadences we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not a perfect cadence, but one of those inverted, imperfect cadence. It's still going to bring us home, though.
Mm-hmm.
So JP's bringing us home. Oh, you got to cover that. Even that's just icing on the cake.
And this is a movement that you will hear a lot in a lot of gospel music in different styles. Basically, you hold the 1 in both pinkies, in your left hand and your right hand. And you move in your left hand from the 6 to the 4 to the 5. So in your left hand, you're going to B flat, G flat, A flat. And in your right hand, you're moving from the G flat to the E flat to the F. Okay, so it's like that. So when we go, okay, and that's how you can end any song.
That's purdy.
And
what a great way to end it, with a perfect, authentic cadence with that D flat on top and that nice little setup you did there. That's awesome. So what you going to do in the next segment? I mean, is there a higher level?
There's a higher level. There's a lot more things that you can do, altering the chord and and doing different things. So this is just the beginning. This is phase 1. We're going to go into phase 2. See you there.